These prints come from a time when Helmut Newton, already 55 or so years old, was cementing his style as a photographer. When Newton...
You touch on his age, and I think it's very important.
Very.
Helmut had a heart attack on the streets of New York in 71. He was 51. He realized that time was so precious. The time had come for him to raise his game and make his work much more personal than it had ever been before. His pictures in the 60s were already strong,
yes,
but they weren't what they became in the 70s. Talking about the pictures that he made on the back of a shoot, another great image from that era is his portrait of the model Veruschka.
In Helmut's leather coat.
It's indeed Helmut's coat that
Fantastic.
She's wearing. But that was on the back of a colour shoot for a fashion shoot for Marie Claire.
Okay.
And the pictures are good enough, but they're not Helmut at his best. They would be forgotten if it weren't for the black and white picture that he made in that context.
I think of Rue Aubriot. We have two women, one naked, one dressed in a Saint Laurent trouser suit, on the street in which Helmut lived in Paris.
Yeah.
Again, a kind of revolutionary picture. We have the woman dressed in a man's
revolutionary in
suit,
many ways.
Dressed,
Yes,
hair slicked back, smoking a cigarette. You know, she's projecting that manhood,
that ambiguity of woman into man.
Right. Yeah.
And I loved the observation that someone made about that particular photograph, that it takes you back to Manet's Le Déjeuner sur l'herbe, and that the shock value of the contrast of the clothed and the naked figure. And I thought, how very true. And Helmut knew his paintings. He knew his 19th century, he loved 19th century pictures.
Again, we mustn't forget, he was 55 years old when he was making these pictures. He'd had an extraordinary life
really
up until that point.
Got into his stride when he was over 50. The high gloss prints define a very special, short but important chapter of Helmut's professional life. You see a picture by Helmut Newton, you recognize it immediately.
Instantly, it's true.
Much imitated, never matched.
Yeah.